Welcome or welcome back. My name is David Nachman. I'm the managing attorney at Nachman and Associates PC, also the Visaserve team. We are a global business immigration law firm with offices located in New York, New Jersey, and in Canada. We serve businesses throughout the United States and throughout the world and assist them in transferring highly skilled foreign workers to the United States and from the United States to select foreign countries. Today, what I'd like to do is spend a little time talking about the I-9 form. The I-9 form is commonly referred to the form that's used by human resource managers in corporations within the United States to do what's called employment verification. We spend a great deal of time as immigration lawyers attempting to find status, either non-immigrant work status or immigrant work status, green cards, lawful permanent residence for individuals so that they're able to obtain the documentation that they need in the United States in order to fill out an I-9 form. The I-9 form is readily available online at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Citizenship and Immigration Services website, and that form is updated on a regular basis. In fact, recently there was an update to that form with regard to the revision date, which was finally approved by the Office of Management and Budget. But what I want to speak about a little bit is the history of the I-9 form and where the I-9 form came about. The I-9 form finds its genesis in the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. In 1986, there was a bill that was passed, which was a very balanced bill. Half of that bill was an amnesty that granted anyone who was in the United States who did not have status, they were granted status. The other part of the bill, of course, made employers the watchdogs to ensure that the individuals who they were hiring were work authorized or had work authorization. Hence, the I-9 form was promulgated. The I-9 form is a one-page document, and it also has a second side on it. And on that side, there is three columns, column A, column B, and column C. Column A is a list of documents which set forth identity and work authorization. Column B is an identity list, and column C is work authorization list. So an employer is able to see a document, either one from A or one from B and one from C. So that's an employer's obligation. That is an obligation an employer has for every single employee, whether that individual is a U.S. citizen or a foreign national. For every single employee, every single employer in the United States is required to fill out an I-9 form. That is mandatory. That is the law. There are certain exceptions for filling out the I-9 form. One of those exceptions is if you have an individual who's an independent contractor. Of course, if you have an independent contractor, then that individual is required to do an I-9 form on his or her own because they are a separate corporation. So that's an independent contractor exception. The second exception is for employees who were continuously on the payroll of the company since the date that IRCA, the Immigration Reform and Control Act, was implemented. So since November of 1986, if an employee continues on the payroll of the company, you do not need to do an I-9 form. The final exception to the I-9 form is if you have an individual who is doing sporadic or intermittent services. So this exception takes into account an individual who, let's say, is coming, the kid up the block who's coming to cut your lawn, or a person who's coming to help you clean out the attic. Those are the types of people who would be considered for the purposes of this exception under the Immigration Reform and Control Act. So again, it's important that everyone knows that every single employee needs to fill out an I-9 form, and organizations are required to maintain I-9 forms for 1 year from the termination or 3 years from the date of hire, whichever is later. That's the retention period for an I-9 form. So if you're doing an I-9 audit and going in and checking your I-9 forms to make sure they're up to date, which we always recommend, and we can definitely assist any organization that has any questions with regard to updating or auditing their I-9 forms or implementing an I-9 process, they should always go back and first check to make sure that they have an I-9 for every single active employee. And then the next step would be to determine whether or not you have I-9s for every employee within the retention period. So we'll do some more video blogs on I-9s and the importance of employment verification and some of the new procedures that have emerged that are hot issues in the employment verification area, such as E-Verify and Social Security mismatch. But this is a basic overview about the I-9 form. If you have any questions at all about the I-9 form, please feel free to contact us. You can contact us at 201-670-0006, extension 100 or extension 107. Please let us know that your questions is about the employment verification process. You can also take a look at the information. We have a wealth of information online at our website at www.visaserve.com. Thanks very much and have a great day.